I'm one of the co-founders of Rackspace, and I spent a big chunk of my career inside Rackspace building systems to manage the data center, look over servers and IPs and DNS and other things that most people find tremendously boring. And so it's only natural that I go take that idea and go to the trucking industry. Like the part of new tech that was really terrifying is he was like, you have to show your technology, but he never said technology, he always said cool technology. So we'll take technology, right? And he's like, yay. Okay, so basically, it turns out that the world trucking is all around us. Everything in this room was on at least one truck, right? It impacts us in a number of ways, and it's a hugely fragmented business. There are 10 million trucks on the road. The average company has 5. The main way they do everything is something called paper or Excel. Those are apparently the only 2 tools. Until you get to about 200 or 300 trucks, you're a big company, then you can afford something called an accountant. They're very expensive and hard to find, right? And so in a lot of cases, we focus on under 20 trucks, which means they're using paper, pencil, or in a lot of cases, the wife. That is apparently another common tool in this city. Because every time I ask the trucker, okay, who does your books? My wife. And I'm like, okay, can we talk to your wife, sir? And so basically what, is the other screen going to come up? Okay, yeah, so basically one of the big problems with all this like paper and pencil stuff is you can't alert or track or do anything with data that's on paper. And you can't really do much more with it in Excel. And I grew up in the world of the internet where apparently laws are something you look up on Wikipedia but don't really impact you, right? And trucking is not like that in any way. Everything about it is severely regulated, down to truck drivers have to have an annual physical to prove that they're not going to have a heart attack and keel over and die, right? And so they get certified, and actually we warn them that, hey, look, their medical certs are coming up and make sure that your drivers are kept in compliance. Part of this regulation thing ends up meaning that when you get out of spec, the government doesn't really have any sense of humor about you being a little behind on your paperwork. They just fine you. And what we've heard from a lot of our truckers is that right now, all states are looking for income, and so fining is a very popular sport, right? So the main thing that actually drives our system is dispatches. And it's kind of funny because what you're looking at doesn't seem that revolutionary, right? And it's a form that has a fully backed address book for the company, allows you to keep track of where all your trucks are, where they're going, where they've been. But by putting it into a system, we actually can derive data like how much money it's costing them to run per mile right now, where the most expensive gas stations they're using are, like where the best place to buy gas. The thing that really drives our customers crazy is there's a thing called IFTA, okay? And this stands for a tax that is basically, the easy way to understand it as a non-trucker is when you go to the gas station, you buy gas, a big chunk of that fee is taxes. You pay it here in Texas. Now you mostly drive in Texas, so nobody cares about you. But if you then get in your truck and you drive all the way to Chicago, you've used up roads all the way, and every state wants to be paid back for that. But you paid all your taxes here in San Antonio. So they actually require every trucking company to report how many miles in every state every truck they have did. The old way was they literally used grease pencils and they write it on their window when they cross the state line what the odometer reading is, and then they hope they don't knock that off or wash it before they get back to the station, or they'll put it in a little book. In our system, we actually use a third-party system that manages all of the highways for the United States and Canada, and it can actually estimate, okay, if you're going from San Antonio to Chicago, the standard path would be up 35 in this way, and it can estimate exactly how many miles you would use in each state. And because it's done by a third party, there's no chance for you to weasel on your taxes. And so, as far as we can tell, this is auditable data that then, instead of actually trying to track where your truck is, we solve the real problem, which is paying the right amount of taxes all the time. Because these guys are barely making as it is, they don't need to pay any more taxes than they ever do. So the whole point of Trucking Office is basically help these small businesses that are really the backbone of all of our economy compete against much bigger companies. And the reality is we depend on these guys operating. Right now there are 200,000 trucking jobs open, so if you can't find a job in tech, there are trucks looking for you, just if you're looking for it. But basically by using all this stuff we learned at Rackspace and how to manage data and how to connect it all up, we can give them an easy interface to start with, and then on the back end we make their business better. I don't know how I did on time, but we'll call it. How did I do, Cole?
That was 4 minutes and I started late. So
Awesome, yay, okay. So then now do I have to suffer the card questions? Okay.